You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Let's go. What's up, Up-Tempo gang? Dustin Smith coming at you guys live from SEC Media Days. Vanderbilt coach Clark Lee is currently at the podium. We have heard from Shane Beamer of South Carolina. We have heard from Lane Kiffin, who, couldn't help himself. He had to take some shots that I got Hugh Freeze over the golf game. Brian Kelly opened up today's festivities. It's been a fun day here in Atlanta, man. What I wanted to kind of get on here and talk to you guys about is I'm really interested tomorrow to see just how Hugh Freeze handles this narrative of the house settlement, of the salary cap, and all the rules that are supposed to be coming into place with this new NIL structure. Guys, I've been here all day, and it just doesn't seem like a whole lot of people think that these rules are going to stand in place. And a lot of people just seem to really doubt if they're going to be able to enforce these rules. So we've heard from Hugh Freeze. We've heard from Athletic Director John Cohen, and they seem pretty adamant. At least John Cohen does. I think Hugh Freeze is more kind of following his boss's lead on this one. But they seem adamant that the rules are the rules, and they feel like they're doing the right thing. Now, like I told you guys on the last episode, I do believe that Auburn is ready, if they need to pivot and to do what everybody else is doing. But just go back and listen to what Lane Kiffin said today. Lane Kiffin, he will tell you what he thinks. And Lane used the word supposed cap. And I've listened to some of the other coaches here on Media Row, and I've listened to some of just the other media outlets, and no one seems to be buying it, man. So how is that going to go? We know the message that John Cohen and Hugh Freeze have put out there over the past couple of weeks, and they're going to be asked about it because you just had an SEC coach today step to the podium and say he doesn't think that these things are really going to be legit. He doesn't think that these things are going to be able to be enforced. Lane mentioned he knows there are teams out there that are way over their cap. There's no way that their numbers can currently stick if they follow the rules. So how does this play out? It'll be very, very interesting to me to see how Hugh Freeze addresses those questions. And, because like we talked about with you guys, man, I really think he's following his ball, I really think he's following John Cohen lead on this one. I think if it was up to Hugh Freeze, he would probably be going more along the lines of what's going on at some of his rival schools in the SEC right now. So in this ever-changing landscape of college football, I don't think anybody has a firm grasp. Anybody has a definite idea of the way this is going to go down. And John Cohen is steadfast. He believes that these rules are going to be enforceable. They're going to be what's in place. It seems like most of the college football world doesn't. Is that just a product of us seeing the powers that be? And I put that in quotations, the NCAA and all these groups. We've seen their powers stripped from them, from what we grew up on. And these last few years have just been the Wild West. So are we just so jaded that we're sitting here thinking to ourselves, there's no way they're going to implement these rules. There's no way that there's going to be actual structure in this sport. I don't know. There's a ton of skepticism here in Atlanta. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Like we talked about the other day, I think the really important thing for Auburn, if this is the route that they want to take as an institution, is you better be ready in time to pivot to another option, because everyone knows that Auburn can't be down in the 70s in recruiting. Regardless of what the win-loss record is on the field, we shouldn't be that low. And as I've shared with you guys in the exclusive member pods, I've heard about some of these offers just not even being close. So if we get another month or two, 5-6 weeks down the road, we get into the season, you're bringing in kids on visits for games, and they're going to talk, right? What happens week 2, week 3, Auburn starts bringing in visitors, these high school prospects, maybe kids that are committed to other schools are still going to come to watch, Auburn games on a visit, right? So they come in and they're still talking about numbers that are just so out of Auburn's ballpark. How much longer does Auburn continue to play that game? I don't think it can be long, because I think if this continues down this path and we're just going to use Georgia and Alabama and Oregon, USC, use those teams as examples because they're the ones right now. Like, I don't have any inside information of what's going on at Georgia. I know with 25 plus commits and an entire roster of 4- and 5-star guys already on your team, it's hard for me to not see how you're not sailing over the cap at that point. I don't know how you could field a roster that elite and have all those guys under the limit. It just doesn't make sense, and it's kind of what Lane Kiffin alluded to today. It'll be interesting, based off of his comments, to see what Kirby Smart leads with tomorrow. He'll be asked some of the same questions. Kalen DeBoer, they're on a heater in recruiting right now, right? He's probably going to be asked, hey, are you guys following in line with the cap? So all this is really going to be kind of fun to see how this plays out this week. But football season's right around the corner, man, and I firmly believe that there's no way that Auburn will get too many games into the football season. If they see their rival schools continuing to do things a certain kind of way, Auburn, you'd be really stubborn to continue to try to be this beacon of morality, right? At some point, you got to play the game, and you can't. It's kind of one of them things where if 20 cars, can they pull over all of you? Are they just going to pull over Auburn? So I don't know. We're getting down to the nitty gritty of this whole situation, and it's the main topic here this week. And you guys know me, I cannot wait until the main topic. I haven't heard a whole lot of questions about left guards or free safeties or defensive tackles or anything like that, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I kind of hate where we're at with all this, but right now the sport is changing. People want to know what the rules are going to be moving forward. So you guys stay locked in, man. Tons of exclusive content coming out for Atlanta for my up-tempo gang, for you members, man. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Got some guests lined up tomorrow. Going to be pumping it out for y'all. So y'all just stay locked in. Love y'all. War Damn Eagle.